We are at the California State Railroad Museum in Old Sacramento. Can't wait to show you the museum as well as around Old Town a little bit and show off some of my old stomping grounds. I actually remember this place when they built it. I'm old. So I'm excited to take you on a little tour with one of my favorite places as a kid. I can remember when they built this and growing up, going to it a number of times on field trips. And yeah, it's field trip day, by the way. But we're going to show you around the State Railroad Museum. It is in Old Sacramento. So this is where the town actually was originally. That building over there, that's actually the Big Four building. It's the place where the headquarters of the four guys who basically built the Transcontinental Railroad from California. There's a whole lot more to show you here in Old Town too. So I'm going to give you a little bit of tour of Old Town after the museum, including a couple other spots you can actually see with the museum too. So let's go. So this is where you start. Got some basic small displays. But the neat thing with this, and this is the same as it was when I was a kid, is this talks about the building of the Transcontinental Railroad coming through the mountains and how the workers cut through the rock. You got the little Governor Stanford there. And this is an original display. And so this was here when I was a kid. So this brings back memories. But it's a wonderful little documentary too about how they cut through the mountains and eventually joined the railroads. See, my little surveyor. Let's come up here and take a look at the Governor Stanford. I love how beautiful they have taken care of these engines though. Just a gorgeous engine. They also highlight the plight of the Chinese workers who helped build the railroad, how hard they worked, how dangerous it was, and what they did, how important they were. As you walk around the engine, past this display, and you get to head into the main part of the museum.
It looks like you guys are.
Brief figure of the construction boss. And then the main part of the museum is up here. They have some neat displays talking about the history of the railroad, the Big Four, and how they all passed on. I found this interesting. A color map for the trunk lines, the main railroad companies. Alas, there's one missing, but it's understandable why it's missing. There's no Frisco. Okay, this is really kind of cool. That's actually a section of the track, the original track that was laid down to complete the Transcontinental Railroad. That's cool. And here we begin to enter the actual main part of the museum. Although this doesn't give you really a hint as to the scope. You can see a couple of cars there, and then baggage cars there. But what you can't see is that it expands out to the side, and it also goes upstairs. You can almost get a hint of it up there. But we will walk around and give you a look at all of this here. So you can see this passenger car. They've got benches like in the old train stations, and they have a lot of attention to detail to give you a feel for these old engines and cars. So you can see this poor old car. Wow. It almost looks like somebody was shooting at the side of it. Just all the holes. And got a wonderful little history. The Pacific Railway Act and more here. But just a big process there. You see a little bit of the inside walls. Makes me wonder about those holes though. What they were, if they're bugs eating inside or what. I'll see if I can get a better look. So this is interesting. Apparently this car was used in a number of movies and TV series. including the Gambler. They had a couple other previews there. So this car has been around quite a bit and used a bunch. So you can see they've got a little woodpecker figure there propped up. So perhaps that is where all of this came from. But they've actually got a whole big video here that tells the story of the car and where it's been and everything else. But yeah, very neat. So old car from the 1800s used as a prop in the movies, and then sold in 1988 to the museum. And says that they decided to stabilize the car instead of restoring it. It gives you a little look at what the inside of the car looks like there. Very cool. Now right behind it, again, you've got the one series of cars, and then we've got the Sonoma. And one of the things we love is they just have given these engines a beautiful appearance. Restored, polished, and goodness, they look good. Doesn't that look nice? So very cool. And they do have some observation things. For example, there is an engine there. You get to go up. We'll check that out. Let me kind of give you a sweep here of where we're at now. Engine, you've got a little bit more modern postal car there. And then there is more off this way, including a little bit of look at the roundhouse doors. Over on this side of the Sonoma, you can see that there's a lot more displays over here as well. And lots of information, stuff to take your time with. Okay, I just have to point this sign out because it says something that I love. The highest ranking member of the train crew is the conductor. Yep. Although it's Silver Dollar City, we were kind of equals with the engineers. In some ways they outranked us, but on regular trains, it's the conductor that rules. So here is one spot that you do get to walk up a little bit. We'll watch your step as you go up. And there are displays here you can look at. I'm trying to be careful because I've got a school group ahead of me and I don't want to give videos of the kids. But you can see right here, you get an eyeball look at this one engine. This was a private car and they did this car up. One of the signs was saying that it had a fireplace that they installed in it. So, but this was the car that they used really as home. So crew quarters. So you see not a lot of room there, but and then the kitchen. Definitely small, but functional. And then look at this dining room. This is bigger than mine in my home. Fancy. There's a sofa. And then you come back and you've got the bedroom, and there's still more down here. An actual functional, decent sized bathroom. And I mean, even look at the top detail. This stateroom, so these would convert into a bed, lower and upper berths, and then you have your table there. You can see a couple doors to other things. And this would be what it would be like to ride the rails in luxury. And then you got the big sitting room. Okay, so if you really want to know what it's like inside, there's your QR code. You can actually get a real nice tour of it that way. So be sure to check it out. Okay, I'm going to go a little different direction momentarily because there's a couple school groups up on my normal path and I don't want to get the kids. So I'm going to show you a couple of the other things here. For example, the Virginia and Truckee number 18, the Dayton. And again, you can see just what a gorgeous engine. I love how they've restored these, polished them, painted them. They're just beautiful. And then over on the other side, you've actually got this guy, which I believe this is a borer. Yeah, so this is actually one of those deals that when the tracks are covered in snow, they bring this puppy out and it actually cuts through the snow so that way you can keep running the trains. So what is this? Well, let me back up here and show you. Because I know right now it just looks like this big wall of black. But when you zoom out here, you can see it is this gigantic blade. Just insane. So one of the things they have here that's really cool, quite literally, is a refrigerator car. You know, from the outside it looks like just a regular old box car. But this is one that you can actually walk up to and take a look. And I will let you see what it's like inside. I'm working around school groups here trying to not catch the kids, but this is an old refrigerator car. And this is actually how they would load it. They would actually take giant ice blocks, drop them through the chutes there, and then use that to cool your produce. And then they would fill the rest of the car with all sorts of crates and everything else. So that's how they did the old refrigerator cars. And this kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of what they would be packing inside of that. Loading up all the crates of produce and then loading it into that car right there. What is cool about this part of the Railroad Museum is it is actually built around a functional working roundhouse. So you can see the track there with the car on it, but they do rotate cars and engines in and out sometimes, and this is how they do it. And then when they pull them in, they park them more right along the rails in here. And you see they've got room for another one right there. Here we go, that's the dining car. See the sign here pointing to the entrance. There is also a sleeper car here. And then you go into its entrance right there to get on both. You know what? I've got the kids far enough ahead. You can kind of see this way, and I can get so you can see the couches here. So this would be where we'll be riding, and then the bedding is ahead. So here's a look at what the beds look like, and give you a little bit of an idea and comfort. So if you've ever wondered what a bathroom's like on a train, it's not like this now. This is definitely the fancy shared sinks. 3 sinks in this particular spot. This will be a washroom. It's not that fancy anymore. Nowhere close. Now the kitchen looks a little something like this. I have no idea how this compares to a modern kitchen on train. Although I imagine we have microwaves now, which you kind of sort of see where microwaves go right up in there. But that would be the kitchen for the dining car. And we're going to come around down this narrow walkway and find our tables. So this walkway is about 3 feet wide, maybe. And here's a look at an old-time dining car. Much roomier than a modern one. And nicer utensils. Very nice. And of course, our guide. All right, we're gonna come over to this side of the roundhouse now. We already talked about our snow shovel. But we've also got the post office car, which I think is open for us to poke into. And then there's also that engine with the front cabin. And that actually used to sit in front of the depot. I'll show you the depot a little bit later. But we'll go take a peek at that. Let's walk up here. And this gives you a little idea of an old-fashioned mail car, where they would actually be sorting the mail while they were traveling, versus just loading it on and having the local post offices do it. So if you've ever wondered what it looks like behind the scenes at your post office, there's a lot of similarities today. Not quite the same, but a lot of similarities. All right, we're gonna try and give you a look inside this guy in just a moment, which you can kind of see from outside. And this is your crew is right up at the very front, actually in front of the engine itself. Modern engines are a little different, not far off, depending upon the style. And we got the old CP Huntington, named after one of the big four. And again, beautiful engine. And that tells you just a little bit about it. It's nice that they have the details on each of the engines here. And then they have done such a wonderful job making them look good for display. Give you a little better look here. There's your roundhouse. Sleeper and dining cars are over there. There's your refrigerator. And just give you an idea of how much is in here. What a lot of people will miss, though, is there's an upstairs. This is actually 3 levels. So you can see they've got a few engines upstairs. They've got a miniature train display up there and more. So I will show you a little bit about what's up there. This is a look at the front of this engine to give you an idea of what it looks like. We are going to go poke up inside. But you can see she is a biggin. So there is your look at that big boy. This is towards the exit. It's also towards the gift shop and stairway to upstairs. One more gorgeous engine with the mirrors and everything to help light it up. Beautiful engine. I think Walt would love this place. Walt Disney kind of loved his trains. But they've got this set up where you can walk all the way around. I mean, just look at the pretty paint job they've done. But here you go. Virginia and Truckee Railroad locomotive number 13, the Empire. And that will tell you all about it. This is on your way towards the exit. But they've got the mirrors, so you can see all the way around. And then see this whole beautiful engine. And it's gorgeous. I love the detail that they have done on these, getting them ready for display. Because it just looks beautiful. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually head past this. This is the exit. It's also the gift shop. And there is a stairway that goes up to the 3rd floor and 2nd floor where we can see everything else on display. So I'm going to take you up there and let you see that because it is something that is easy to miss. You can see the doors, the restrooms are to the right, and people will just hook straight over to the exit and not realize they should go this way. All right, so if you are into toy trains, we've got some trains for you here. And they've got all sorts of stuff on display. Just to give you a little idea. So here's one of the neat things about upstairs. You can look downstairs and just see all the stuff down there too. Well, let's see if we can do this around all the kids. So there are little control panels on the side. You can kind of see it there. The kids can control the trains and the lights and other stuff. But what would a miniature train park or train museum be without a miniature train actually running? You can see all the different props. There's lights. There's a hot air balloon hiding back there. And all sorts of stuff in here. It's a very neat little display. And it just gives you a little idea of all the different things they have on display here. There's a lot. A good amount I'm not able to show you because, again, trying to work around the kids. So you just have to come if you want to see it all. So the upstairs also has a play area with a Thomas the Tank slide and Brio trains and other stuff too. So little ones will have plenty to do up here. And then you can see this wonderful Baldwin locomotive works. So Philly. This is, again, upstairs. You're not going to see this downstairs. It's kind of a shadow in the rafters. Sir, you do realize it's not necessarily a good idea to smoke on that thing. Anyways. So this is the Nevada Short Line Railroad locomotive number 1 from Baldwin. What's neat about this engine is if you look at the engines on the Silver Dollar City line, they're from Czechoslovakia and Germany. But this is the look that they've tried to give them, something similar so they look like an American engine. So that kind of gives you an idea of the model that SCC has used. You know, I've had some people say that riding on the trains can be expensive or hard or, you know, a number of other excuses. We could always just do it like this guy. You don't see that very often anymore. Doesn't work so well. But you can see they've got a couple more cars up here, small tanker, caboose, and then we'll have a little fun. So here's a nice guessing game for you. How did they get these up here? I mean, it's completely closed in. Can you figure it out? Okay, so there is our little train that's up here. You can see the tracks. So the question is, how did they get it up here? Well, you can see the tracks come down right to this big window. Stops a little short, but back when they built this, if you look carefully, you can actually see the notches on the windowsill there. That would be where they added beams to hold other track, and they actually built a track outside, brought the trains up on that track, and then rolled them through what was an open portal at that point and down onto this track. Then once the trains were inside, they removed the bridge piece there, put in a real nice window, and that's how they did it. So neat little bit of trivia. Oh, and if you didn't get enough of the miniature trains earlier, well, how about this? Yeah, they go all the way down. All the way down. Oh, and then there's more behind me. And all sorts of stuff. Lots to see. This is actually something kind of neat too, that's very easy to miss. But you've got all of these nice little passes to the railroads. So kind of like a ticket, but these would have been used for the fun trains, essentially, not more official passenger trains. But those are all souvenir tickets from the tourist trains that they've collected. And of course, most hobbies have their magazines. Miniature trains are no different. A nice little collection of a bunch of the magazines that you can find for them there. So this is actually something I remember as a kid, and tried to get a picture of it outside. When I was a kid, this was working, and that was kind of our gathering place outside for our school groups, is we can meet over by the railroad signal. You see they've got 3 different switches in there. And like I said, I don't know if they do it anymore, but at the time, they would all randomly go off. So that's a look at a lot of the museum. I'm heading down to the gift shop now. Gonna poke around in there. I'm on a tight budget, which actually is probably a good thing, because otherwise I would spend a lot more than I should. But you know I'm gonna pick up something. So we're gonna go check it out, and I'll see if I can show you. I have to say too, the school groups were actually pretty good. Wasn't too hard to shoot around most of them, so I do appreciate that. They do get a lot of school groups here. So let's go see what we got. Just a quick sweep here. Give you an idea of some of the stuff. Lots in here. Easy way to spend a lot of money. There's a little better look at the Big Four Museum. Huntington and Hopkins Hardware. Leland Stanford had part of it. CP Hopkins is one of them. And that's where they basically operated and helped build the Continental Railroad. So it's a museum now. There are lots of museums here in Old Town. You've got another museum there, and then several trains here, and then the old passenger depot is right there. It is actually not open to the public at the moment. You can get in with special tours and stuff, so sometimes school groups can get in. There's a bunch of trains there. I will do my best to walk around and show you what little bit I can of it, but it's not open today, unfortunately. And then you can see several of the older buildings. There was a time when I was young that Old Sac was kind of run down a little bit, and they went through a huge revitalization campaign and redid a lot of it, upgraded, refurbished, and it's just a wonderful place now. And hey, look, the old train is starting to head out with a switch engine at the back. But it's got a lot of history there, which we'll maybe check out the Sacramento History Museum too. And then over here, that white building on the left, that is the Old Eagle Theater. That's the very first theater ever built in Sacramento. At least one version of it. Being on the waterfront, this did flood a number of times, and it got rebuilt a few times. You can also see the tower from Tower Bridge there, and Old Sac comes all the way down. Admission to the Sacramento History Museum is $12. It's actually the same price as over at the Railroad Museum. Unfortunately, I blew my budget on books and stuff at the railroad, so I don't have it now. But it is there, so keep that in mind when you come down to the area, because it is definitely an option that you want to do. They have the gate open, but they don't have the walkway open. And I'm not brave enough to do that. We've got them backing up the passenger train here, but you can see a little bit of what's in here. You've got an Amtrak engine, State Railroad Museum switch engine, which moves around the cars, passenger car over there, a number of things. It's a neat little place to be able to walk around if you can get in, but most of the time you have to arrange for a private tour now. It's not always open to the public. In fact, it's kind of rare days, I believe, that it usually is. Here's a better look at the Eagle Theater for you. And what's there? Lots of history. We're gonna go poke around. So we'll kind of bump up on the window and give you a little look inside. You can see the old wood burner and fireplace there. And tables, ticket booths would have been in there. Sorry, ticket booths are over there. So that would have been access actually to the trains. That's why it says to trains over the doors. Duh. We give you a little look inside. Again, this is the original train station here for Sacramento. So here's what's one of the things that's really neat. This is the other side of the depot. And then the Sacramento River is right there. Yeah, we're right on the water. And then this is a farmer's market. It looks like there might be a couple things open today. So we'll go poke there. And you can just see all the shops. Lots of stuff to see. So they do have river cruises here, which you can see there. And the cruise boats are down there. And then you got a Ferris wheel and a couple of, looks like a carousel. And then more shopping. So I just saw something I am honestly shocked, but really excited about. Peruvian crafts used to be here 20 years ago, plus when we lived here, and it's still here. We loved going into that shop. Just some neat stuff. And it is right there, not open at the moment, but they've got all sorts of stuff. If you want to see what alpaca fur feels like, and Indian music and llamas, all sorts of stuff. Neat shop. Well, I was gonna pick up some candy in the candy shop, and then I started looking at the prices, and like the boxes of sweethearts, the boxes were $3.80. So I was like, a little high. Then I realized the Heath bar would have been $4 with tax. A regular Heath bar. That's like $1.50 at the gas station. Yeah, not doing that. All right, you want a good pizza? Round Table's the place to go. It is a chain, but they make stuff from scratch, and it is amazing. Yum. I might go grab a bite there. We'll see. So I just gotta say, if you want a little bit of fun, $10 for an hour, unlimited pinball. They've got all sorts of pinball games in there. It's like $15 for all day. And I've just been kicking it there for a little bit. I had a blast. So if you're in the area and you love pinball, check them out. The California State Railroad Museum is open year-round. It has an admission charge right now of $12 for an adult, less for kids. Be sure to check the website to make sure of their hours. It is a fantastic visit, and Old Sacramento is one of those places you can easily spend a whole day at. I encourage you, if you're in the area, be sure to come check it out. You won't be sorry. Thank you so incredibly much for watching. Thank you to my patrons for helping make this possible. Thanks so much. God bless. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know your thoughts, your comments, your suggestions, your ideas. Be sure to share them in the comments below, or you can contact me. There's information in the description that has my email address, fan pages, information about merchandise, and so much more. So be sure to check that out. Don't forget to hit that like button, share the video, and if you haven't already, hit the button right up there to subscribe. And in fact, if you did enjoy this, I've even got another video for you right here. And also about these wonderful people here, those are my YouTube members and my patrons, the ones whose financial support makes this possible. I couldn't do it without them. If you want to know more about that and the perks that come with it, well, be sure to check the description. There's a link right down there. Thank you so incredibly much. God bless.